political strategist Steve Schmidt and Chief Public Affairs Officer for MoveOn.org, Karine Jean-Pierre. Steve Schmidt, it's not surprising, but it's still stunning.
Well, of course it's stunning, but the whole country has seen Donald Trump's unraveling, or really him revealing to the country under pressure in this crisis who he really is. And who he really is a person who lacks all of the qualities that you would want to see in a leader in this type of moment of profound crisis. Possesses literally none of them. And that's what those stories point out, that it shows a daily barrage of self-pity, of blame gaming, of finger pointing, of self-praise, of adulation, but this constant inability to rise to meet the moment, both at a policy level, at a response level, but also as a moral leader, being able to talk to, in one of the most epic events in American history, the entire country, just doesn't have it within him. So every day, I think that he stands on that podium and he shrinks, he diminishes, he gets smaller and smaller. It's having an adverse political consequence for him, and that's why you'll see much less of him up at these type of briefings, I think, in the weeks ahead.
You know, Karine, it also reveals the weakness of a White House staff. When a president fails over and over and over again, it reveals the man. But it also reveals the weakness of the people around him to stage any sort of intervention or any sort of effort to save him from himself. I mean, the last block we talked about new reporting in the New York Times and the Washington Post about the grave political standing in which he finds himself. 2 articles full of quotes from Republican allies that are worried now not just about his reelection, but about Republicans losing control of the Senate. Where do you think we find ourselves in terms of sort of the impotence or the weakness of this White House staff?
Well, the White House staff is basically who the president is. You know, it falls, you know, it follows who the person is at the top. He is the leader. And this is what they choose to do, is to follow the leader. You know, there was also reporting about how his staff wants him to do less of these or to attend less of these briefings, but it's not going to happen. I am actually very skeptical. Maybe for a few weeks we don't see him as much, but he can't help himself, Nicolle. He needs this. This feeds in this ego that he has. It allows him to be the center of attention that he so wishes for. And why? Because what does he do all day? He spends his time watching TV and tweeting. And yes, this is political suicide because, you know, you have this president who's talking about his ratings and bragging about his ratings. But here's what happens. People tune in, and what do they see? They see a delusional, they see an erratic commander-in-chief who is standing up there giving 2 hours of personal grievances that he has. And he is not at all talking about the people who are hurting. Like you said, Nicolle, in that Washington Post 13-hour of 3 weeks of these press conferences, these briefings, he spent less than 5 minutes talking about the people who lost someone in a crisis, not offering any condolences, really, only for less than 5 minutes. But here's the thing, he's not going to stop. More than 50,000 people are dead. More than 26 million people are unemployed, and it's all about him. Again, it's not about the people who are hurting. Why? Because this feeds into his ego, and this gives him oxygen. And that is who Donald Trump is. He's a very, very small man.